Hey everybody, welcome back. This is KRX, and we're going to be doing another sort of tour and final thoughts for the most recently completed City Skylines City on the Twitch channel. So this is we're kind of naming this Snoopville, just really quickly, just to kind of show you our sort of little sort of Snoopy here that was completely accident, but it kind of looks like he's maybe wearing some aviator helmet and goggles or something, or maybe he's a cyborg Snoopy or something. I mean, heck, it's even got the little nose. Every single piece of this was completely an accident. You know, of course, the eye, maybe tongue sticking out to some degree. I don't know. It's just kind of shaped like. I mean, is this not Snoopy's nose? I mean, come on. So so we got Snoopy there, and we decided to name the city Snoopville because what else? But this is actually where the city started for the longest time. This was the only way into the city. I think we're up to 130 to 140,000 population at this point. And for the most part, we don't really have any freeway access points. And kind of the main themes of the city, I think the three things that we try to do with the city is one, make it congested, make it claustrophobic, make it tight, make it everything sort of like sprawling from each other, you know, everything nice and jammed together. And reduce freeway usage, which I think we did a good job of. Of course, always reducing like tunnel usage as well. And then also the main third one was disasters, right? So you can see the sinkholes here, sort of earthquake fissures. If we keep looking around here, we'll see meteor impacts, lots of meteor impacts that are easy to see outside. But basically, more than just having these disasters, the idea was to preserve them and to not terraform them. So basically, we can see. In fact, you know, it's interesting how a lot of our central areas never really got hit. I mean, there's a sinkhole here. We did end up getting a meteor impact into here, which was one of the better impacts that we had. You know, we had some earthquakes here, little meteor right there. But for the most part, and we had the disasters cranked up to the absolute max. Like we were getting a bunch of disasters, but of course, something like a tornado doesn't affect the terrain. Forest fires don't affect the terrain. Thunderstorms don't affect the terrain. Even the tsunamis, although those were devastating, those were definitely the most devastating disasters. Those don't really affect the terrain. So, but the sinkholes, the meteors, and the earthquakes, we decided that every single time we'd get one of those, we would not terraform it. It would just scar the city, and it would add some personality, and we'd have to kind of re-engineer things as we went, which was kind of fun, which was actually a lot of fun, to be honest. But mostly, most of the people come in this way right here. And we sort of just started off like we start all our cities, just with the basic sort of loop. This was like a little T-loop thing with a little very mild interchange for that services the industrial area. But honestly, I kind of like how this kind of all worked out. It looks, you know, this is kind of symmetrical with this, and these people. It just kind of like the way the lanes actually kind of work out here, and the way, you know, this 1 + 1 = 1 + 1, and all, the way this all kind of smoothed out together is actually like really, really nice. I'm actually pretty happy with that particular design on that little, if we could even call it an interchange. That's kind of what it is, but it's using slow, sort of simple roads, not freeway roads, right? Then we sort of came through here and we decided we were going to do like this boulevard where everybody has to turn right if you're coming from outside the city. So if you come in this way, you're only ever turning a right. And then if you want to go over to the left, you have to kind of get onto this side road, which ends up being kind of main road because of that functionality. And you have to sort of bridge across to get to where you need to go. In fact, now that I think about it, why would anyone ever use these bridges? I don't know. They're just there for the looks, I guess. But we kind of sort of did this. We did, you know, someone had the idea to put it sort of a terrace-styled sort of area. So we kind of tried something like that. Not the best looking thing in the world. Heck, you could barely even tell we did anything like that. But it's kind of neat, just doing some random stuff. And none of this is particularly inspired. Here was the first park we ever put in, which is kind of just a nice little walking park through the city. And over time, this area sort of leveled up pretty high, which is pretty cool. We ended up putting in sort of like a medium density, sort of using the European assets, sort of European town here around the train station. This train station was actually super cool. We're using all 6 of the platforms. And we're doing a little bit of tunneling here. You can see it sort of tunnels there, then it sort of pops out here, and then it doesn't tunnel anymore. This sort of carves out the earth. And I just really like how we sort of were able to make this nice and smooth and interesting. And this is sort of symmetrical to this, and this sort of tucks in and curves at the same sort of style as well and stuff like that. Unfortunately, we do have to make this little connection here. Otherwise, the outside trains will not use this because the outside trains need to have access to every single platform, which I think is dumb, but that's just the way that it's been programmed apparently. So we did have to do this little bit here just to get the outside trains in. If we didn't care about the outside trains, then we could essentially, we could just get rid of that. Maybe we could have had another train station be the go-between. Actually, that probably would have been the play. Yeah, just get rid of this and then have one of these set up as a go-between for the outside trains. That would have made a lot more sense, actually. We should have done that. Coming along here, this is just sort of generic, just downtown, I guess. Nothing special. We ended up doing this area kind of a little bit special, just a little diamond and a hexagon and stuff just to kind of give it a little bit of personality, build around, something to build around. That's because this was the very first sinkhole we ever had in the city, and that's kind of when we decided that we were going to like preserve them and leave them be. So we ended up coming over here for what we're calling the pizza Piazza. It kind of looks like a bunch of pizza slices. Not exactly the most insane design in the world. I mean, this is just circles within circles within circles. In fact, I don't even think they're even, heck, I don't know. They're not even like even, they're not even even circles, but that's okay. It's still, you know, I don't know, it's something a little bit different. I don't think we've ever done anything like that, but it's been done 1,000 times. We got the stadium in here. We got a nice little park in here with the train station. I actually kind of like this. Heck, people actually using the buses. I mean, how often do you see that? Not too often. Pretty cool. Got a little zoo sort of on a hill here. It also kind of looks like kind of like a tadpole that's sort of developing into some sort of amphibian. Little like stubs, little stubby legs and stuff and things. Maybe it's becoming a newt or a salamander or something. And then we have our little pentagram. Another little train station here. This time it's elevated rather than sunken in just because of how it all needed to fit together. This canal, this is sort of like an anti-tsunami wall is kind of what this ended up being. Although anything over I want to say, I can't remember if it's a 6.0 or a 7.0. And this entire area gets flooded. We got hit by 4 or 5 9 to 10.0 tsunamis while building the city, and this area just got completely swamped every single time one of those rolled through. So it wasn't very effective, but it was kind of cool. Then we have sort of this nature park, which I think actually looks pretty cool. Just a lot of little switchbacks. We got a couple little, this actually started as an earthquake fissure right here. And then we sort of converted it into like a spring with a couple little rivers. This being a really nice waterfall. I mean, look at the water physics on that. We actually got really lucky and did a lot of good work to make this actually look good. Because a lot of the times waterfalls just don't look good in this game. They kind of do this. See how it's kind of clipping through the actual earth and stuff? That doesn't look so great right there. We could touch that up. But this right here, see how it's like glistening over the rocks right there? That's perfect. That's kind of what you want. And we were lucky to get a pretty decent effect there, I gotta say. The only thing that's goofy about it is how slow the water kind of moves. This is our little sort of natural disaster response base up here on this little plateau in the center, which I think is kind of, you know, we could have done this as like the downtown and everything could have been around it, could have been lower dense or something, but instead we did the downtown sort of here, and we have lower dense sort of sprawling out, lots more lower dense sort of like away from the main city. But then here we ended up just deciding to do kind of a low density ploppable building area for, you know, the helicopters and the disaster response and stuff like that. So here we have the river delta, which, you know, we could have put buildings out here and stuff. I just think it would have looked goofy no matter what we did. So we ended up doing a big nature park, which is kind of, you know, for the tsunamis, right? If a big tsunami's coming into town, everybody wants to get the best seat in the house, and the best seat in the house would be somewhere like up in this tower or on some of these docks and stuff like that. So this is a great place to be when a tsunami is about to be rolling in. You get the best views in the city, which is pretty great. So that's kind of a cool little, I think it's kind of a neat little nature park. We got a good amount of Sims, I think, using it as well. Not too many, but a decent number. Not as many as some of the other parks. It's a little bit harder to get to, I think, for some of the Sims. Then we sort of come over here. We have a big industrial port. Which includes a gingerbread man, sort of like an Iron Man gingerbread man here. This is actually kind of doing the little connection up into tunneling up into here and having this connect down to there. That was something we didn't want initially, but then traffic-wise, we kind of needed it because we realized that people were just like doing some really crazy things trying to get around. So that was an essential connection just for traffic management. I think traffic ends up, we could take a look at it after we kind of do the flying tour here, but it ended up being about 88% I think is where we evened out. You know, we hit 89 sometimes, and it definitely dropped down quite a bit, especially with the disasters and stuff. We'd get spikes where it'd go down. Heck, I think at one point we had like 55% traffic flow or something, just randomly. And we kept working it out, working it back up to 88, 89. We didn't try to really get it much higher than that. But again, remember, like this city doesn't really have the freeways that this city has were essentially added with the map. This is all stuff that just came with the map. We're playing on the Pearl Bay map with the Montebello map theme and the LUT for Snowfall, the Snowfall LUT. And that's kind of what's giving us the visual effects here. But yeah, the Pearl Bay map was added with industries, actually. Pretty cool little map, actually. I really, really like this river delta. It's very interesting. I like these islands in the river here. I like just the rivers themselves. It's just a pretty high detail. You got this nice little volcano area out here. We only had 25 tiles instead of 81 tiles. So we never did come out here and build out here. It was kind of the plan to come out here, though. That was the initial plan, but it just didn't materialize. We have an agricultural area. The two industry areas that we did were agriculture, and then we also have ore industry out here. It's a very large, spacious areas. I just like the general kind of shape of the area that this occupied. I think it looks kind of interesting. We have probably too many roundabouts. We need to do something about that. Next city, we need to ban ourselves from using roundabouts or something, or maybe like just really radically change the design on those, or make them into different shapes or something like that. Because we're doing too many roundabouts. We just got a bunch of little neighborhoods sort of tucked in between the industry, right? Feeding into the generic industry here. Just feeding into the sort of the industrial area. It's just another little tucking in sort of a European downtown area. This was meant to be harmonized more with the rest of the area, but it just never was. I mean, I guess this is kind of a neat little school sort of area here. That kind of, and then there's some space here, some breathable spaces. We come into an industrial area. This was the first industrial area. We're kind of back around to where we started, except for we haven't gone this direction. This was just sort of neighborhoods, lots of neighborhoods. But this area, I'm pretty happy with how this area here turned out. I really like the gridding through here. This is just like, there's a straight, you can see there's this straight line here. There's sort of straight lines going this way, and then there's straight lines going that way. So it's kind of like almost creating like, almost like a pentagon, I guess, if it sort of, you know, continued up this way or something, but it doesn't. It's got these swiggly bits here, sort of all pinched between, you know, these roundabouts. It kind of looks, to me, it kind of looks like a chicken. But, you know, this area kind of looks just like a chicken looking right back at you. You know, chicken with a little bit of attitude or something. But I really like how the European buildings look when you smash them together. And I think having them on a grid that's within like a curvy sort of box, not a box, but like a curvy shaped outline, I think it actually looks pretty good. This originally was the original bit for the longest time. Then we never bought this tile out here, and then eventually like the later project was putting this in and kind of completing the whole area. This area I think also looks pretty good. This is sort of like our university. I think this is, yeah, the only university that we have in the entire city. So we have a university with some other facilities there as well. The train sort of tucks into here. Looks like we got a slight issue here with the train. So the trains might be stuck somewhere, it looks like. Yeah, the trains aren't moving. It looks like the trains are legitimately stuck. So that's probably one really annoying train actually physically getting caught. So that's not cool. We do have like a cargo. We actually put in a cargo airplane, which I was like, how are we going to get goods down here to this area? And I was like, we actually have the trains here. Look at these trains are all backing up. Yikes. So somewhere along the line, there's actually a train that is physically stuck. This wasn't like this a second ago. Is this affecting our traffic numbers, I wonder? 89%. 89% traffic, guys. So it doesn't, apparently it's not counting the trains, which is kind of nice. This has been a problematic area. That's why we have underground bits. We have bypasses and spaghetti and such. That's been a problematic area. This road usually was pretty problematic, but it's actually flowing pretty well. We do have an underground expressway for the Piazza coming through that way. But again, we don't have traditional freeway and traditional interchanges going into these major cities. These are just roads. They are main roads, that don't have a lot of buildings on them, and we try to minimize the connections off of them, and we certainly try to minimize four-way intersections. But regardless, I mean, these are just roads through major, dense, populated areas. I mean, look at the access that this area has. It doesn't have any access. I mean, everyone that comes into this area basically has to come through this roundabout or come through these interchange. This is like, what is this, a four-way intersection right here, for crying out loud? This entire section is set up like that? Crazy. But that's basically the city, guys. This was the theme park. This is kind of like a city park outside and a theme park on the inside. So if we kind of come into here, we can sort of see the theme park sort of within this sort of inner sanctum of trees is the theme park, which I think looks pretty cool, sort of all around the water there. And then if we zoom out, we can see just sort of general park stuff, lots of areas to picnic and play catch and stuff like that. We kind of wanted to fill it in more. Admittedly, we should have put some trees, like some conifers around these rocks and decorated them a bit, but we're kind of like a little bit pressed for time because we wanted to finish it on the last time we were playing this on the Twitch channel. We wanted to finish it, so a little bit of, actually we were kind of talking about something. I forgot to undo the oil and the ore there because we were kind of just talking about specialized industry, but yeah, that's kind of the city. Really happy with this. But the cool thing was just bouncing off of the disasters, right? Seeing all these scars of the different disasters. What we should do, though, is we should see the city at night. Whoops. Sorry, guys. We should see the city at night and do a little bit of a rocket launch or something. Just to kind of see Snoopy, see why. This is how we actually discovered that it looked like Snoopy, as we were just kind of watching. We were just kind of watching a rocket at one point. And I just noticed that, holy cow, you know, it looks, at night, it really kind of pops. So let's take one final rocket ride and wish Snoopville farewell. Pretty fun little city, pretty fun map. Really fun using the disasters. Really fun kind of like trying to build around them and sort of like, you know, adapt to the disasters and stuff like that. That was the goal. So mostly, we'll have the mod list posted down below, but mostly it was simulation-wise, it was basically vanilla. We used a lot of mods in terms of tools and, you know, but we didn't really have any assets. Nope, we're not going to get a good view of Snoopy at this angle, but there we go. We can kind of see the Snoopy right here. This actually kind of looks like, this looks like some kind of animal. Almost wearing like a knight's helmet, like knight's armor or something. Kind of an interesting little thing. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this tour and final thoughts of Snoopville, the latest city, completed city on the Twitch channel. We're going to be starting a new one, and we're just going to keep going with City Skylines. So thank you so much everybody. I will see you guys in the next one.